Today I'm going to talk about something that's very important to the film, the beginning. First of all, I'm going to show you the original, and then I'm going to talk about what I do and don't like about it, and then why I made the changes that I did. So it starts off with the traditional "a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." And then, like every other Star Wars film, it goes straight into the opening title crawl. And that has the title, and it talks about the Galactic Senate, and then it talks about the Separatists, and then it talks about Senator Amidala, and then we go to Senator Amidala's ship. So what we read in the opening title crawl is then directly followed on by relating action.
Senator, we're making our final approach into Coruscant.
Very good, Lieutenant.
Now it's important to note that little scene just then isn't actually held by Senator Amidala, it's held by her double. And because Episode 1 doesn't exist in this universe, that's going to be a bit confusing because we don't know who she is. So I just found out that that's not Keira Knightley, and neither is that character the same one that is in The Phantom Menace, which I find to be very strange. This is our introduction to R2-D2, which I think is fine.
We made it. I guess I was wrong. There was no danger at all.
That was a Wilhelm scream, and I'm using because it's not the Wilhelm scream, it's not the one that Wilhelm screamed in whatever film it is that Wilhelm screamed in, but it is a Wilhelm scream. Because the person who screamed the Wilhelm scream, which is actually not completely known who it was who actually recorded that soundbite, recorded 3 screams at that time, one of which is the Wilhelm scream and then 2 others. Now, Ben Burtt, the sound designer, is the person who came up with this, like, joke or meme or whatever you want to call it. I don't feel like he's sticking to his own rules here. It's a completely different scream to the other scream. It's nowhere near as recognizable. And I also feel like having a joke this early on in the film, for anyone who recognizes it as a joke, and we live in an era now where most people know what the Wilhelm scream is by name, and if they don't know what it is by name, they probably know it by hearing it. And so having this joke so early on is kind of fourth wall breaking. It's like a little nod at the audience, but it's been like, it's 3 minutes into the film, including all the titles with the Fox logo and the Lucasfilm logo. So, is this really the best time to have this joke?
Corday. Lady. I'm so sorry.
I failed you, Senator.
No.
Lady, you're still in danger here.
So she doesn't say anything of note. It's not bad, but it's just important to note for now that she doesn't say anything important.
I shouldn't have come back.
This vote is very important. You did your duty. Corday did hers. Now come. Senator Amidala, please.
And that's the end of the first scene. Now I'm going to talk about why I made the changes that I did, and then show you the changes that I made. So of course I changed the title that you're all probably aware of by now to The Jedi's Apprentice. The reason I did this was I wanted the focus on The Jedi's Apprentice rather than the clones, because I want Anakin to be the focus of this film. And just by changing the title, can shift the audience from thinking this is going to be about clones to thinking this is going to be about a Jedi's apprentice. One of the things that I struggled with while editing this film is that there's a lot of reasonably boring scenes, but they serve a purpose. And the purpose is reminding the audience that Anakin is the Chosen One. There was no exciting scenes in Attack of the Clones where they talk about Anakin being the Chosen One, so I couldn't really cut them without losing this really important exposition. And although it's not very important in Attack of the Clones itself, it's really important when the Revenge of the Sith comes along and all of a sudden he's going to the dark side. I think it's really important that we know that he is the Chosen One and that the Jedi think that he's going to save them or something before he then essentially destroys the Jedi. But there is a really exciting scene from The Phantom Menace that talks about Anakin being the Chosen One. Now, before I show you this, I'd like to say that in my opinion, the prequels do not follow the same rules as the original trilogy. The original trilogy are all very much nostalgia films. They have very practical effects, and their style is based on westerns and old samurai films, and even some early sci-fi films, but mostly the samurai and western kind of mashup in space. But the prequels, in their visual style, are much more just a film than, say, a nostalgia film. They still have the opening title crawl, and they have the same transitions, but other than that, the visual style isn't much like a nostalgia film. So with that in mind, the prequels do not stick to Star Wars tradition very closely. It's also notable that the style that the Jedis use a lightsaber is also very different. So I'm not that worried to spice things up, because it's already pretty spiced up. It's just that lots of people didn't like the direction that these films went in. But rather than trying to make the differences between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy less noticeable, I've decided to try and emphasize them so that they feel more like their own thing. One such change is having a scene before the opening title sequence. The Darth Maul fight from episode 1. Now this is all pretty much the same, and I'm not going to show you all of this. The only noticeable difference from the original, well obviously it doesn't cut back and forth from other scenes, it's just one scene, is when Qui-Gon and Darth Maul are fighting, and Obi-Wan is in the distance. Now, if you remember the original, there's a long scene where they sit and Qui-Gon and Darth Maul are separated by one of these laser things. And it's often considered one of the best parts of the film. However, because we don't know who Qui-Gon or Darth Maul is, it loses all of its weight. They are just two strangers. This isn't a climactic third act, this is exposition. This is like a cold opening with a touch of exposition. So we don't need to see them in the same way as we would if it was a third act. So instead they get through the laser wall things, and Obi-Wan is left stuck. And it goes straight to them fighting. Now, other than that, I made that slightly quicker. I heard someone saying it's quite slow, and for Darth Maul, who's considered a really cool character, he just kind of stands there and waits to get stabbed with a lightsaber. So I just made it much quicker so you can more easily tell that it is an accident and it's not just standing still for plot reasons. Some of the criticisms that I think I might get for putting in this scene, other than breaking tradition, and I'm not going to be listening to those for the reasons I've previously said, is that we don't know who any of these characters are, which I understand. However, you can tell all the important things you need to know about these characters simply from what they're wearing and the colour of their lightsabers. Darth Maul is wearing black and red and has a red lightsaber. He's a Sith. That's all you need to know. He's on the side of Darth Vader, he's on the side of evil. Qui-Gon has a green lightsaber and wears Jedi clothing. The same with Obi-Wan, and has a blue lightsaber. There's nothing more that we need to know about these characters for now. Now, the important part of the scene, which is why I put this at the beginning of this film in the first place, is here.
It's too late. No.
That's also really important. We now know who this character is. This character is a very young Obi-Wan Kenobi, that old man played by Alec Guinness in the original trilogy.
He is the chosen one. He will bring balance. Train him.
There. Anakin is set up as the chosen one. We're told he will balance the Force. That's not very clear, but it's never made very clear in any of the scenes. And that it's not Obi-Wan who wants to train him, it's a last wish from his master. So it sets up the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Now it fades out. Hello everyone, I just wanted to thank you for all the support and suggestions you have given me for this fan edit, and to say that I'm almost done. So many of you have been very helpful on helping me make this a better film, and if you want to continue to help me, I strongly recommend pressing the notification bell, because I am more likely to take your thoughts and opinions into consideration if you post them soon after the video is uploaded. And as of right now, I do not have an uploading schedule. I will also be putting the names of those who give positive criticism and feedback into the credits as a kind of thank you. Also, if you're new here, remember to subscribe so you can be part of the journey, and like so more people can see my videos, because you might not have guessed, but I put a lot of effort into this film. The next video should be up in a couple of days, so hopefully I'll see you then.